the trader you become. The best traders make fewer decisions. When people think about successful traders, they often imagine someone who makes better decisions, faster decisions, smarter decisions, more accurate decisions. But perhaps that's not what separates them. Perhaps the best traders simply make fewer decisions, not because they trade less, but because they decided many things before the trade ever began. Imagine entering a trade and immediately asking yourself, should the stop stay here? Should it move? Should another contract be added? Should profits be taken? Should the position be held? Should one more trade be taken today? Every question becomes another opportunity for fear, hope, or greed to influence the answer. Perhaps the problem isn't emotion. Perhaps there are simply too many decisions left to make. Chapter 1. Every decision has a cost. Most traders think of trading as making decisions, but they rarely think about the cost of those decisions. Every decision requires attention. Every decision consumes mental energy. Every decision creates another opportunity to negotiate with the plan. By the end of the trading session, the trader may have negotiated dozens of times. Should the stop move? Should the loss be held a little longer? Should another setup be taken? Should today's plan change because the market is moving? None of these decisions exist in isolation. They accumulate. One negotiation becomes another, until eventually, discipline begins feeling exhausting. Perhaps discipline isn't difficult because traders lack willpower. Perhaps it's difficult because they're asking themselves too many questions. Chapter 2. A good process answers questions before emotions do. Many traders believe a trading system exists to find profitable trades. Of course, that's part of it. But perhaps its greatest purpose is something much quieter. A good process answers important questions before emotions ever have the chance to answer them. Before the trading day begins, the trader already knows what qualifies as a setup, what doesn't, where the entry belongs, where the stop belongs, what invalidates the trade, how much to risk, where profits will be taken when the trading day ends. Notice what happened? None of those decisions are being made while the trade is moving. They've already been made. Now imagine a trader without a clearly defined process. A setup begins forming. Should this count? The trade starts working. Should another contract be added? Price pulls back. Should the stop move? The trade continues higher. Should profits be taken now? Every moment becomes another decision. Every decision becomes another negotiation. Every negotiation becomes another opportunity for fear, hope, or greed to influence what happens next. Perhaps this is why so many traders feel emotionally exhausted. Not because they're weak, but because they're trying to make every important decision while the market is moving. A good process changes that. When the setup doesn't qualify, there's nothing to decide. The trade is simply ignored. When the setup does qualify, the entry has already been defined. The stop has already been defined. The invalidation has already been defined. The target has already been defined. The management has already been defined. The trader isn't constantly asking, should I take this trade? Should I move my stop? Should I exit early? What if the move keeps going? Those questions were answered before the trade began. Now, the trader isn't trying to predict the market. The trader is simply asking, am I following my process? That's a much simpler question. Many traders hear the word mechanical and imagine removing emotion completely. But perhaps that's impossible. Fear will still appear. Greed will still appear. Hope will still appear. Uncertainty will still appear. Being mechanical doesn't mean eliminating emotions. It means reducing how many decisions those emotions are allowed to influence. The trader still feels uncertainty. The trader still notices the temptation to move the stop. The trader still feels the urge to chase another trade. But instead of making a brand new decision every time an emotion appears, the trader returns to a decision that was already made. Perhaps that's the real purpose of a trading process, not simply to find trades, but to move important decisions from emotional moments to calm moments. And that's what a well-designed process provides. Not certainty about the market, but certainty about what the trader has committed to doing. Perhaps that's the real purpose of a trading process, not simply to find trades, but to move important decisions from emotional moments to calm moments. Chapter 3. Simplicity creates consistency. Many traders spend years searching for better strategies, adding more indicators, learning more setups, studying more patterns. But sometimes, improvement comes from doing less, not because simple strategies always make more money, but because simple processes are easier to follow consistently. Imagine two traders. One trades 10 different setups. Each requires different entries, different exits, different stop management, different expectations. The other trader focuses on one repeatable setup, one entry process, one method of managing risk, one way of reviewing every trade. Neither trader knows what the market will do next, but one of them has fewer decisions to make and fewer opportunities to abandon the process. Perhaps mastery isn't about knowing more. Perhaps it's about repeating one process long enough to truly understand it. Chapter 4. The process becomes something to return to. Every trader experiences fear. Every trader experiences uncertainty. Every trader experiences the temptation to make an exception. No process can remove those emotions, but it can give the trader something stable to return to. When emotions appear, the question is no longer, what do I feel like doing? The question becomes, what does my process say? That's a very different conversation. The trader isn't trying to invent the next decision. The decision has already been made. Now the only task is execution. And perhaps that's one of the greatest benefits of a well-designed process. It becomes an anchor. Not because it predicts the market, but because it keeps the trader grounded when emotions try to pull them away. Chapter 5. Repetition builds mastery. Many traders believe mastery comes from learning more strategies, more indicators, more market knowledge. But perhaps mastery comes from something much simpler. Repetition, not repeating random trades, repeating one well-defined process. Again, and again, and again. Imagine a musician learning an instrument. They don't practice 100 different songs every day. They practice the same movements until they no longer require conscious effort. Trading is no different. When a trader repeats the same process, the process becomes familiar. The familiar becomes reliable, and reliable execution becomes easier. Not because trading becomes easier, but because fewer decisions require conscious thought. The trader no longer has to wonder, where should my stop go? Should I take this setup? Should I move my stop? Those decisions were already answered long before the trade began. Repetition doesn't eliminate emotions. It simply gives the trader something stronger than emotion to return to. Chapter 6. The goal isn't the perfect system. Many traders spend years searching for the perfect strategy, the perfect indicator, the perfect market, the perfect entry. But perhaps the goal isn't perfection. Perhaps the goal is building a process that can actually be followed. A complicated system may look impressive, but if it changes every week or gets rewritten every time emotions appear, it never has the opportunity to become mastery. A simple process repeated consistently often teaches far more than a brilliant process that's constantly changing. Because every time the process changes, learning begins again. Mastery requires stability. The trader isn't just building a strategy, they're building a relationship with one repeatable process. Over time, that relationship becomes confidence. Not confidence because every trade wins. Confidence because the trader knows exactly what they're trying to execute. Chapter 7. The best traders make fewer decisions. Perhaps this is what separates many experienced traders from traders who continue repeating the same mistakes. It's not that they experience less fear. It's not that they never feel uncertainty. It's not that they always know what the market will do. It's that many of the important decisions have already been made. The process defines what qualifies as a trade, how much to risk, where the stop belongs, when the trade is no longer valid, how the trade will be managed, when the trading day ends. So when emotions begin asking, should the stop move? Should another trade be taken? Should the rules change today? The trader returns to something that was already decided: the process. The thinking happened before the trade. During the trade, the focus is execution. After the trade, the focus is learning. But while emotions are strongest, the trader isn't trying to invent new decisions. The trader is returning to decisions that were already made. Perhaps that's the true purpose of a trading process, not to predict the market, but to reduce the number of emotional decisions that need to be made. Because every unnecessary decision creates another opportunity to negotiate with fear, hope, or greed. The best traders don't eliminate emotion. They simply build a process that gives emotion fewer opportunities to make decisions. And over time, that process becomes something stable to return to, not just on the good days, but especially on the difficult ones. Because consistency doesn't come from making perfect decisions under pressure. It comes from repeatedly following the well-defined decisions that were made before the pressure arrived. Final thoughts. Every trader wants more discipline, more confidence, better emotional control, but perhaps those aren't the first things to build. Perhaps the first thing to build is a process that's simple enough to follow, clear enough to repeat, and stable enough to return to every single trading day. Not because it predicts every move, but because it tells the trader what to do. When emotions begin asking questions, perhaps mastery isn't found by constantly searching for something better. Perhaps mastery is found by returning to the same well-designed process again and again and again until following it becomes more natural than negotiating with it. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more videos on trading psychology and trading mindset. I'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What part of your trading process helps you stay disciplined when emotions appear? And if you know another trader who might benefit from this perspective, feel free to share this video with them. And until next time, keep learning, not just about the markets, but about the trader you're becoming.